Episode 26 opens with a high schooler named Junichi questioning the point of his life. Only to, on his way home, cross paths with a bunch of down Iron Cross cyborgs, the police near instantly arriving after, and thinking the guy took them all down himself. And thus, the media believes that he is Spider-Man.
Japanese J. Jonah Jameson immediately commissioned an entire paper dedicated to slandering the man.
This is another stupid scheme from Amazon S, creating a patsy Spider-Man identity through this man, despite no proof he is Spider-Man, promote him as a hero, and then destroy his reputation. Why? I mean, the dude is more of a wimp than Takia's civilian cover, so the only reason I can see is she's still fixated on Takia. She coerces Junichi into cooperating with this spear campaign, and I really don't see giving them any military advantage. And it's not like Spidey would stop trying to prevent their plots if public opinion was against him. Hell, as I keep making fun of, that's practically J.J. Jameson's entire role in the comics. It ultimately culminates in them framing Junichi for manslaughter, and then breaking him out of prison when he's arrested.
Okay, that is a one-liner worthy of Parker.
Then we have another plot involving pets. Amazonas abusing dogs to turn them violent.
Yes, Amazonas is so evil, she will literally kick puppies.
And this is all in order so they will desire to kill anything they're sent after, plotting to use a special scent agent to mark Spidey for them. Bacon! The actual intelligence of this is that once he's marked, it won't matter if Takia is in his civilian identity or not, the saint would still linger on him. So even if he tries to hide it, it could still lead to him blowing his cover. Especially as this is another episode which lampshades Amazonas' sudden obsession with proving Takia is Spider-Man.
The stupid part of this is, of course, that her army of canine companions is made up of people's pets they've been stealing out in the open, as opposed to legally adopting ones from animal shelters. You know, the more wild animals that haven't had positive interactions, so would be easier to train to be savage. Not even say how no one would be the wiser if they went through the proper channels. This is being evil for the sake of evil.
Which of course means they steal a kid's dog, and that dog becomes the primary antagonist to Takia throughout the episode until he's totally exhausted, and the kid is the one that brings this faithful companion back to itself, so it can lead them all back to the outpost, which is then dismantled, alongside preventing them from blowing up an amusement park.
Remember when the show had the Iron Cross as ancient intergalactic world conquerors?
A group of girls gets abducted when they see the entrance to a secret Iron Cross base in their district. 3 boys that are friends of theirs uncovering their capture and trying to tell their neighbors. Just as Amazon lies to a lot of them about their fate. Whoops. This base is experimenting with magnetic fields, shown when Takia and Hitomi pass through the area, and Takia finds his bike, when he attempts to start it, has had its battery die after being hit with one of their EM pulses.
And thus, an insane 1978 television adaptation has more of an understanding of how nuclear and electrical sciences work than the 2014 Godzilla movie. Fewer people acting like idiots, too.
This raises Takia's suspicions enough for him to investigate and learn of the kidnapped girls, and helping the boys trying to rescue them as they're cornered. He promises to save the kids. As Amazons reveals, their research is all part of constructing an earthquake machine!
That is so retro, but again is a foolish plot in its presentation, though this is more of a fridge logic thing. Because of the magnetic experimentation, you presume it works by affecting and moving deep earth metals that are magnetizable, that movement radiating up into earthquakes, but Japan is in the part of the world that does not have many metal deposits in its ground for that to work, even deep earth ones. Most of the metal the nation uses these days is either recycled scrap or imported as a result of its scarcity. Hell, a great deal of their mines closed by or in the 70s as they ran dry, and most of the still active ones are for rarer materials.
Don't get me wrong, I love the idea of seeing an earthquake machine, as that is so classic supervillainy. It's just more of something that clashes with my randomized jack-of-all-trades type of fact and detail retention, and how they're showing it to work. Spidey rescues the kids, and in attempting to take out the device, clashes with, the monster of the week R2-D2?
My god, that droid is a Sith Lord!
Next, the Iron Cross summons tech genius Warwolf in attack mode, and they equip him with Attribute Bomb. So now Takia has to deal with a wolf monster tossing bombs everywhere to frighten the populace. While he manages to find their base by catching sight of Amazonas once again using her cover identity of Psycho Yoshida to sneak into their base in an athletic center, he's pretty badly cut up by the monster's claws. This forces him into retreat and allowing Amazonas to further her active plan, extorting money out of local businesses with which to fund their own operations.
Brilliant!
No, really, I think this is another application of continuity. Taki and Europol pretty much killed their underground operations by eliminating the front companies, business partners, and crime syndicates affiliated with them, which would have funneled them resources, such as the gambling dens. This could be a sign of them getting desperate. Nah, I'm just screwing with you. Make like Voyager and pound the reset button!
Well, after that plot is thwarted, Taki catches sight of another Iron Cross plot. Him following the vehicle, only for a rookie police officer to try and arrest him for literally no reason at all. He wasn't speeding, didn't run through a stop sign or stoplight, and it's not illegal to follow another vehicle. In fact, the only thing he's guilty of is resisting arrest, but he did not commit any arrestable offense until she tried to pull him over, and then caused him to crash with her needless pursuit, likewise completely dismissing his statements about her causing him to lose the Iron Cross agents he was pursuing, because she doesn't believe they exist. Oh, and get how she acts when Takia's family, while prostrating that he's a worthless loser at that, attempt to get people to petition for his release.
And there's the key to this. I checked, and it's not. Public protest without a permit is against the law, not asking bystanders to sign a piece of paper. All of this building the context of this officer is a by-the-numbers incompetent.
You're forgetting about Space Corps Directive 1742.
1742. No member of the Corps should ever report for duty in a ginger toupee.
Of course, this is discovered when a BEM smashes open the holding rooms to abduct Takia's cellmate, using its abilities to disguise their vehicle into a police car that she just lets through. And made worse, the police girl then completely obstructs Spidey's attempt to nab them before they get away. Yep, this is totally enough reasons, especially in a nation with a very negative perception of the police, to warrant this girl be fired. But though she is chewed out by her superiors, the appearance of her little brother is enough of a prompting for Takia to intercede and save her job.
You're serious. This woman has shown less of a capability of actually being able to do her job than Toru Hojo, and you save it because you wanted to be nice to a kid? You actually are attracted to them, aren't you?
Well, anyways, the Iron Cross needed the criminal, a pickpocket, in order to plant a listening device on a different police official who is presiding over the planning of a classified shipment of a compound called Cobalt X, which I really would think would be covered by the JSDF and not Japan's police department. But that's kind of a minor quibble. The plot succeeds, them then killing the pickpocket, which actually screws them over with the needless portrayal, and then has no incentive to not spill the beans with his last words, allowing Takia to prevent the theft. Out in a park, we see, well, a cowboy sniping cans with a rifle. This is Go Tachibana!
My god, it's Hiroshi Miyauchi! Why is he dressed like Clint Eastwood?
Well, Go is in town because he is a narcotics detective. Kay, who has been on the trail of a new drug that Iron Cross is distributing.
That's
your example for hallucinogens? The ones that are low on the totem pole of popularity and effectiveness, but your viewers could easily get access to as opposed to, I don't know, LSD and mushrooms?
Well, it turns out the Iron Cross's drug is derived from magic mushrooms. Takia, of course, learns about all of this and leads him to crossing paths with Go during a fight. Now, feel the wrath of El Kabong! Also, it turns out there was a Rider shooting before Kotaro unlocked Robo Rider, as Hiroshi Miyauchi is damn effective with that thing in taking down Iron Cross foot soldiers. Go and Tachibana immediately clash in personality, not helped without Go drags his amnesiac son with him everywhere to protect him, since he lost his wife to the Iron Cross. And why the clash is pretty much a difference in execution of their initial premise. Go is out for revenge against the Iron Cross for the loss of his loved one, but is doing so while actively protecting the last person he cares about. While Takia, like his Source counterpart, is doing the same while keeping his loved ones at arm's length and dicking around instead of getting to the point, and most of the time forgets that revenge is supposed to be the motivation for his one-man war on the Iron Cross. Say what you will about Hiroshi Miyauchi's character having revenge as his initial motivator over in Kamen Rider V3, that is being echoed in his portrayal here, but it's clear that along the course of that series, he got over that incrementally thanks to the mentorship and interaction with others to becoming someone that protects in honor of the memory of his slain family. Takia, however, chooses to forget it happened until someone actively invokes the "I'll go bad now!" parallels.
Though, again, echoing the character of Peter Parker, so it's hard to entirely blame him for that.
However, with this second thorn in their side, the Iron Cross is not happy, seeking to more easily do away with this interloper as, hey, he's not a superhero!
Boy, won't they be surprised!
Unfortunately, no. They all end up captured, which means Amazonas can finally get what she's been wanting for quite some time. This is the earliest I can find of someone doing this gag, too. But, not to worry. Go Tachibana has a gun in that Dar guitar, gunning down the ducks, and they summarily blow up the drug lab.
Yeah, no. Do not blow up drug labs. It results in all types of bad.
Episode 32 features Amazonas going back to the spy game with courting a scientist who built a superpowered power transformer.
And he has named it Galvatron.
She blows her cover almost immediately upon demanding the blueprints to it, and kills the dude when he refuses. Whoops. Well, okay, plan B. Abduct the man's daughter Kyoko to see if she has the plans. But she's a classmate of Shinko's, which tips Taki off, meaning Plan C! Re-enter the secret identity as the mom to break into their safe to see if it has the plans. But that, too, fails.
You see how she's falling apart by this point? Had she kept her cover and not pressured the guy in the first place, she might have been able to get something from him later. But instead, she demanded immediate gratification and lost her goal entirely.
To not even address how that goal was unneeded as well. For like the dam plot from earlier, they were going to blow the thing up and cause a blackout, and you don't really need to be that specific with your placement of bombs to destroy something. Episode 33 finds a girl Hitomi used as a model in an art book stalked by the Iron Cross, because the pendant she wears is in fact part of a treasure Professor Monster coveted from Planet Spider. His obsession with it leads to them kidnapping the girl in an attempt to find the rest, only to learn special properties from it gives the bearer the proportional strength of a spider! Alongside impeccable eyesight, which he uses to get rid of Takia when he tries to protect her. This is because she normally shies away from people because, well, upon acquisition of her powers, she accidentally killed her dad.
Wait.
Instead, the Iron Cross takes a different route, using the monster Firefox. No, not that Firefox, and I don't mean the web browser either. To use religion as a means of getting to the girl, as she's Shinto, and the Shinto goddess Inari is connected to foxes. But this fails entirely because she was given the pendant by her father after he found it at a construction site, meaning once again, this is entirely a dead end. Next, a kid named Nobuo, who has talent as a photographer, creates a picture of a UFO to show his talents, only for it to be discredited, making people not believe him when he witnesses an Iron Cross planned murder and gets it on film. And yes, the ICA-affiliated criminal knows this, as he is there when this discrediting of character is mentioned, after the kid reveals to the criminal he got him on film.
That is probably the worst possible time to say such a thing, too, since the "I have proof of my camera" thing would have been part of something you could have told the police and not just muttered after they're gone. You know, to get him in custody and turn over the film roll as evidence.
And yet the Iron Cross still moves forward with the plot to shut the kid up in one of the few times they actually would care about a kid at all. Hitomi and Takia helping to protect him in the event he's not lying. Hell, they could have cut their losses with this one man, as despite the murder, he has no shown connection to the Iron Cross. Until the Iron Cross forces come to steal the film, which tips off the more nefarious plot and compromise more of their operations. But with the proof stolen and the prior defamation of character, no one believes him about the murder.
必ずスパイダーマンが突き止めてみせよう。
No, Nobuo! You don't know where he's been!
Well, whatever. Now Taki has to stop Amazon S from setting ablaze toxic scrap metal, which will poison Tokyo. What even is this show? 2 mummies from the Amazon.
Yeah, no. Gotta stop you right there. Mummification has occurred to dead bodies on every continent on the planet, but only Egyptian mummies had the whole bandage wrap and seal in a sarcophagus thing going for them as is presented here. Such burial rites were performed in South America in their own way, but nowhere near the Amazon.
And to deal double damage to this plot point, the bodies are of Amazon warriors. Not as in warriors from a tribe from the Amazon, but as in the Amazon warrior women from Greek mythology, that have nothing to do with South America.
And next you'll have a series called Amazons that bases itself on Amazon, without actually understanding that Amazon, and without anyone actually being from the Amazon.
I mean, the series Kamen Rider Amazon was 5 years old by this point, but they got this more right there, as they had the character named Amazon actually be from the Amazon. Whatever, Professor Monster resurrects the 2 corpses, a young wimp of a boy named Shinichi seeing them laid out post-revival, dressed as nuns?
なんだお前か。
他の下が自動的に開いたんだよ。
嘘はやめてくれ。
本当だよ。
You know, this in the last episode, alongside the one with the mother the Iron Cross slandered, never actually had those publicly accused have their names cleared of such libel. It's the failure of most episodes lacking a coda, as there is no place for them to actually resolve the effects of the Iron Cross plot. Who knows how much damage they actually did after they abandoned a plan that never actually got fixed.
Well, regardless, Taki also discovers the bodies, just as the sleepers have awakened!
りは間もなく1000万年の眠りより目覚める。
Strike 3. The oldest mummified corpse that's been found is 7,000 years old. And the Amazon warrior mythos they're drawing for these 2 isn't even half that.
But yes, meet Amazoness's 2 new companion generals, Bella and Rita.
After 10,000 years, I'm free! It's time to conquer Earth!
They try to kill Spidey, they fail. But the 2 are sticking around for the rest of the show, all 5 episodes of it, where they proceed to do pretty much nothing but look pretty, to Amazoness's dismay. Which is not made any better when Monster receives additional reinforcements from space, taking the form of Dr. Miracle, who has shape-shifting powers. The tie-in kid plot this time is that groups of boys and girls from episode 28 having assembled a children's detective agency.
These kids have nothing on Encyclopedia Brown, the Hardy Boys, or the Boxcar Children.
And are searching for signs of the UFO Dr. Miracle arrived to Earth on, which crosses with Shinko and Takia as they try to do the same thing. And surprisingly, they succeed, following Dr. Miracle as he walks into one of their houses. Damn, Japanese hornets do get massive. Takia is stung by it, not just once, but again, when Miracle tries to steal a necklace because, evil? But the stinger's poison leaves his body paralyzed, with Miracle taking advantage of the situation to make people believe that Spider-Man joined the Iron Cross Army, with how the 2 are just so buddy-buddy.
This being Toei continuity and a general superhero trope, they of course believe this.
Still, Amazoness takes this chance to finally learn his identity.
なぜと
Oh, come on!
シェアしないわ。
Without the mask, he's nothing. Bupkis, not a zip. Just some boring, average, insignificant jerk nobody cares about.
No, Miracle plans to do it in front of the kid detective troupe. But because Miracle wasted time, the paralytic wears off, allowing him to free the kids and kill the shapeshifter. So long, chameleon. Episode 39 has a man predict and then fear the rise of the king of the underworld.
No. Enma means Great King Enma. In Buddhism, Enma is the first man to have died, thus took the role of the one who decided whether one was worthy of entering heaven or was to be punished in hell. He intentionally has exiled himself from heaven to guard it against the unworthy, not cast out from hubris like the devil was, and it is a completely unfair comparison. To infer Enma is a devil as an evil is kind of like saying any judge is evil and do not act fairly as their job requires and only enact punishment on all. Essentially, to fear Enma coming for you is to fear that you will be judged solely by your sins.
Granted, Enma does act evil in this episode, but it's made clear he's been corrupted by the Nazgul, the Machine Bem, that have been piling up in hell, to the point their concentrated evil has come to influence him and a subconscious desire to return to life and even heaven from his self-imposed duty. Having, milked a serum from the lot of them that restores life, since they are all entities made from dead things. Which is shown later when Spider-Man kicks the Amazon sisters' asses so hard, he kills them, before they are then revived.
Thus disproving the earlier assertion that this show's decline in quality can be blamed on the demands of parent watch groups. If it was, then there is no way that would have been in the show, non-graphic or not.
But the son of the man who predicted Enma's rise doesn't seek Spider-Man out so he can fight the devil.
Though considering the events of Spider-Man One More Day, I know a lot of people who would love to see that happen.
But to appeal to him as a warrior of justice to return to being the ultimate judge. And that this is not this man's time.
That word translates as hell. Well, okay, the plains of hell, but still hell.
Whereas here, the phrasing of the translation makes you think that the plains, or fields of hell, are a real location in the real world. Which, okay, spots with extreme geothermal activity tend to be referred to as Jigoku plus type of region it occurs in, but that's an explanation which doesn't work in context, as the field is full of landmines. But yeah, Enma is sent back to hell, presumably freed of his corruption, and for once there's a coda with Spidey saving the fortune-telling father. Then it's the return of the kid detectives again, as all but one of them have gotten tired of playing detective.
A shame. I guess none of them were hard-boiled enough.
Though with how the last of them is dressed, I'd expect them to 10 years later turn into Detective Hayami. They get involved in things this time due to a kid hiding something his father made from the Iron Cross. The man was a biologist who created a botulism bacterial bioweapon, but only didn't give it up because Amazon has failed to meet his price to sell it. Kind of informing my thing from a bit earlier about how they've lost most of their streams of revenue if they could not just take the easy route of paying this guy off. But no, it requires the hard route, and that means the inclusion of the Machine Bem... Toothache alligator? What?
I have no words.
The pill is left in the care of the kid detective, which gets him abducted and then interrogated by the monster.
I want the tooth! The whole tooth! And nothing but the tooth! Shut up, that was funny.
But leaves signs for his friends to lead Spidey into rescuing him and the pill properly disposed of. Episode 39 sees the return of Gyo Tachibana and his no longer amnesiac son, Takeshi.
They were really not being subtle with the Kamen Rider references on this.
As they are on the chase of another narcotic suspect before he's killed by an augmented fighter created by the Iron Cross, which also endangers his former partner, Nakamura. This cyborg Superman... no, not that one, is accompanied by another that looks to be more based off Hermes, and thus the main plot, where they go around kicking the asses of martial artists because, challenge? This is not Ranma 1/2. Well, Nakamura ends up abducted, with Spidey intervening in Gho's place to save him. Yeah, he walked right into a trap, Tachibana and his partner having been remote hijacked to get them there. And worse, they blocked him from calling for help, so he has to face two superhuman fighters alone, at least until the intervention of El Kabong! Which allows Taki to defeat one, and then sword vigor the other. Professor Monster shows Amazonas footage of a World War II Zero fighter, wanting an engine from one to improve a BEM.
That tech was at the time 25 years old. I think they'd improved engine design since then.
No, he wants the design plans for an engine that was never built as it was too late in the war to do any good, despite the engine being 100 times more powerful than those of its size class.
Meaning it would tear the machine it was built into apart simply from the stress it would place on what it was installed in, due to such not being designed and engineered to withstand such forces.
The plans are revealed to be in the hands of an old man named Obara, who worked on Zero fighters and other military craft, with Taki intervening in Iron Cross's assault on the man, though he still takes an arrow to the knee. He tells that the plans were never disseminated after the war, as such would be an uneven shift in the balance of power if they were used for military purposes. And remember, this would have been during the Cold War and US occupation of Japan, so that could have caused the shift in power balance they were worried about. Thus it was believed they would be best kept secret until the right time. But with Professor Monster forcing their hands, he eventually agrees to burn the last page so the engine can never be built.
Which thus brings us to the series finale. And to my surprise, it actually does feel like a series finale.
Upon Amazonas failing to prevent Spider-Man from destroying a base, she returns to the main one only to learn that not only is Professor Monster not happy with her, he's flirting with the Amazon sisters and taking their advice over hers, planning to kill everyone in Interpol with poison gas.
Didn't they try this? They tried this.
Takia, meanwhile, after blowing up that base, has realized that he's exhausted, both mentally and physically, from all the fighting he's done and how he's isolated himself from his family, wondering how much longer he can even go on in this crusade.
And I really like that sentiment. Not that he's considering quitting, but in how you can't just have that duty be what defines your life. As human beings do need more than that if they want to stay human where it counts. Even if all it is retaining the memory of why you dedicated yourself to helping people in the first place. I hate you!
As you would expect, the poison gas plan that failed before fails this time as well due to Spidey being tipped off to it, Monster blaming Amazon S for it, and banishing her from his sight until she succeeds in killing Spider-Man.
Which she's failed at all series, even with help.
そのために秘密基地を犠牲に。
秘密基地などどうでもよいのだ。それが理由の二つ目。
But you sunk and lost a lot of your resources with them going bye-bye. Resources you can no longer recoup, as prior episodes have shown. You're not very good at this, are you?
Thus, she goes after Takia's civilian identity because she still thinks he's Spider-Man. And she is proven correct, as the whip she hit him with was covered in a paralytic. That begins to take effect after Takia suits up, leaving his true identity confirmed and him at her mercy.
Quick! Employ Toshiki Inoue Trope 6!
And of course, Amazonas believes him dead after that. Not unreasonable, as diving into water while paralyzed, dude should have drowned. But he doesn't, instead focusing himself out of the water on willpower alone, and waiting for the paralytic to wear off while clutching his prize from the exchange, one of her armbands. It possesses a signal he could track back to their main base, and finally shut down the Iron Cross for good. Monster calls for an evacuation upon seeing Takia coming after them, killing Amazonas for this final failure, but Amazonas chooses to be spiteful in her final moments, collapsing into Monster's escape vehicle that he had been preparing for another plan, takes off in it, the rocket exploding, and leaving Monster with...
Spider-Man!
Yep, final battle time.
Please geez, that fight was barely a footnote in all this. I'd call it a curb stomp, but I've seen worse in recent shows that don't have the excuse of, this suit only existed as stock footage by this point.
But yeah, Takiya's battle is over, taking off the mask in belief that his dad's memory is at peace. Though once again, there was no coda with which to provide proper conclusion to everyone remaining past this. Lame.
Well, that was Toei's Spider-Man. It's goofy. I enjoyed the first half, and there is charm to the execution of its mild insanity. But it's not as ridiculous as it's long been hailed to be. Though I would not recommend a marathon of it due to how repetitive the plots get.
The reality is the show had a lot going for it despite the hindrances it faced and the flaws it had. It took advantage of continuity for sequel episodes, which weren't often seen done at that time. While the generals didn't change, there was story progression and signs of a character arc and shift for Amazoness, alongside Takiya's progress in fighting her, and Takiya himself became more adept in the spy-like work he found himself embracing. The stunt work was hit and miss. Mostly missed in my opinion as, well, I would later learn that most of the stunt choreography was the early work of Osamu Kaneda, showing once more just how awful his work is to justify the title I have given him of the worst stunt director of Tokusatsu. You could see pretty often they didn't have much of a budget, and the stock footage recycle is pretty obvious. But the stories those scenes were built around were mostly entertaining, even with the decline seen in its second half, which makes that sect of it certainly a lot more skippable. Is it a great series? Not particularly, especially thanks to that second half, but it's not awful either, so what the hell, give a few episodes a try.
But here's the problem with even seeing this show. It's stuck in legal rights limbo. Marvel and Toei have legitimate claims to its content. Marvel because they own Spider-Man, but Toei because Marvel only owns Spider-Man. Toei staff created everything else.
And Toei only ever released one DVD set for the series due to being blocked by Marvel for any further distribution. And likewise, Marvel stopped streaming the series due to rights claims from Toei. All of this made worse when we remember that Marvel is now owned by Disney, and they don't like sharing profits with companies not under them. None of the involved have any desire to come to an arrangement to allow its release at this time, making Toei's Spider-Man situation freakishly similar to the licensing issues which plagued the Adam West Batman series. Meaning because of all that, it's very likely it will be lost to the annals of history, like so many other one-off Tokusatsu shows.
So if that's true, then why have I said this series is so important? Well, it's likely that without it, we would have never gotten more Sentai series, let alone Power Rangers.
Jack Dengeki Tai was screwed over by executive meddling and the demands of parent watch groups objecting to its darker, more violent content, which was meant to harken back to the intent of prior Toei shows, as opposed to the "it's nothing more than a kids' show" descriptive box these series are often slotted under, and thus was quickly turned into a farce that, while it tried to recover, didn't.
Though Jack still had better ratings and sales than this show did. Irony?
But that was the end of Shotaro Ishinomori's involvement with Sentai, and would have been the end of that franchise altogether. However, it was because of the success of this series that Marvel agreed to partner again with Toei for another show. But in production, Marvel more or less backed out creatively and let the Toei production staff to fully decide what to do with what they had already made concepts for. And the show eventually took the form of Battle Fever J, the first Super Sentai series, and the first to have a giant robot. And continuing on with Ishinomori's Sentai team dynamic for a group of superheroes. For due to that initial collaboration, they were able to carry that giant robot element over, and the giant robots were what helped coagulate the greater Sentai premise into a far more massive success. So from J, there was the next named Sentai series, Denji Man, and then Sun Vulcan. But though Marvel's involvement lasted through Sun Vulcan, ultimately the final rights for it belonged to Toei due to none of these shows actually containing any Marvel characters or intellectual property. And thus they could continue onwards with it, eventually being able to count Jack and the first Sentai, Go Ranger, amongst them as well once legal rights issues concerning them were all cleared up, and thus allowed the franchise to celebrate having lasted 40 entire series and over 2,000 episodes as of this year.
And without them, we wouldn't have had the series that would become Power Rangers. It's doubtful the Metal Heroes would have been even made either, nor Kamen Rider being allowed to revive again and again to face their own evils.
Sure, other shows may have been created to fill the gap, but none would have the legacy Toei's heroes have gained. And in the late 70s, with Godzilla ending its Showa run on a low, and Ultraman beginning to stall, it felt as if the genre was almost ready to die out, when it had so much left to give. So these works helped cement in place one that, to this day, is still going strong, and bad years or no, serves as a beacon that this genre will not go calmly into the night.
And it's ultimately because Stan Lee took a chance on a deal for this show that we got the diverse universe of Toei heroes we have today, which bit by bit have made it across the waters for so many others to enjoy. There's a reason that creator is so universally beloved.
Excelsior.
So Marvel, Toei, bring back Spider-Man. Partner with Shout Factory and release a box set, as you help no one by leaving it locked in licensing limbo. For the world deserves to know of the Marvel hero that helped create a legacy that crosses every border.
That's not what I meant!
As I said, there's a reason I never really got into comics. Next week, however, come back as we get as far from the silly Showa series as we can get, as we move to the future! With the Cyberpunk series that I really should have started discussing long before this.